So
Okay.
This meeting
I'm
is being
setting up
recorded.
things differently. Nice. Is that your Zoom companion? Oh
Did
yeah.
Zoom? Yeah, my
Yeah.
Zoom might also do something. I'm not sure. But this
Yeah, whenever
is
your Fathom is recording, it's Zoom is also indicating that it's recording.
okay. Great. Let me just plug in my phone because it's about to die. And you know what?
Maybe
It's early for Stefan, so he might just be asleep. I know he's a later rise than 7 a.m. That's what time it is for him. So he might
okay,
have
okay.
caught it. So we can get going. I let
Yeah,
him
and
know.
whenever he shows up, we can weave him in,
Okay, I mean, this
right?
is how coherence is. It's a little clunky, and we're trying to work it out, and it's going to be a little interesting. But yeah, so
And at the same time, this is how it goes, right? Like
that's how
this
communication
is how
is. Yeah.
collaboration works. You get the full picture. It's
Exactly.
not always smooth sailing, but it's always perfect, and there's always nice insights and learnings along the way.
Exactly. Yeah, so you're representing GaiaNet, right? Is that for the coherence, or do you have other projects? I know I'm representing a couple different things myself, so I imagine almost everybody is, because that's just the nature of like regenerative collaborative work. You're involved in a lot of things, but that's what I saw on your LinkedIn at least.
Yeah, well, I'm currently not in the core team of GaiaNet anymore, so I'm not officially representing it, but definitely it's one of the organizations that's close to my heart. And maybe what's most relevant to represent here, like I feel like I'm representing a whole portfolio of projects, so I'm a kind of my here as a free agent. But what's most aligned is a project called Hive, which is a collaboration between GaiaNet Futura or Symbiosis and the Open Systems Foundation. And that's an AI powered knowledge sharing platform for, in the first place, the regenerative movement, but eventually the whole world, to make available all this knowledge and wisdom that's being developed by projects on the forefront of regenerative innovation and to build collective intelligence. So that's something that I can represent here. Maybe we'll go with that.
Okay, I think that's perfect. I mean, I think we should probably share just like all the things that we're kind of involved in. That will be a good way for us to understand the depth of and breadth of where we're standing in ways that we can collaborate, because we already have a lot of collaborations going on, obviously, and then it'll also help us to kind of frame where we want to go. I think you're right in the aspect of like, let's have more conversation on coherence, like why we're here gathering, you and I right now, and then as a group of Coherence 2025, like that needs to be, I think, a part of every conversation so people can grasp that, right? But I'm cool with it being just more conversational. Like if we can keep the conversation but have really strong focal points of like what we're talking about. And for today, if we for those that are going to view this on YouTube and wherever else, like let's start off with like what coherence is. Let's have a conversation about, because we're going to have different views on what we think it is too, because it's still so fresh for everybody. And then we can dive into your work, my work, and I would really just like to see if we can tease out and be curious about the things that we could possibly collaborate on or involve each other in together.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very interesting angle because I've been wanting to connect with you anyway. I feel we have shared visions. And so I'd love to indeed explore like what's our work and where is these touch points to also illustrate how collaboration kind of emerges, right? We meet, we share, and then it's like, oh, how can we collaborate right? You know, that energy, that kind of curiosity, I think is what's refreshing for people to see.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's where like any good collaboration comes in from, is like a place of exploration and curiosity on both sides, and like understanding. And we can't really get there without, you know, if I'm it depends on format and whatnot, and every format has its ups and downs. But if I'm just grilling you, or you're just grilling me with some questions, I feel like we're going to lose out on the opportunity to have that dialogue, to really get to the root of what this is about, collaboration, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can take the framework as a guideline, but we can follow our intuition and curiosity in this conversation, and yeah, let's have fun.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. I think that's a lot funner for me in that regard. So we want to start with coherence, just maybe talk about what our thoughts are on it, what it is, essentially, because we've been showing up to the meetings. Okay, let's start there. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe it's good that we have a start of the recording officially, and we kind of give a bit of an introduction, so that it's more of a clear flow. What do you think? Or did you think we already started?
I feel like, you know, I feel like we already started. I think this is actually more entertaining in a lot of ways for people to see just raw people having conversation.
Yes.
You know,
Okay, great.
as long as we keep framework, like let's make sure that we're not too rigid, but also have enough framework that we're going through pieces of conversation, right? So I think the first bit, let's just, that's what coherence is to me, to be honest. Like coherence is Coherence 2025. You can call it an anti-conference, but it's more like us just getting together and talking digitally and asynchronously, because we're doing so many things that it'd be really, really hard for us to meet in place to do collaboration across. How many organizations has, I know we've reached out to a lot, but the official co-stewarding organizations, I think we're at like 10 to 15 roughly, right?
Yeah, around 15 already. Yeah.
Yeah, and more on the way. We're doing this for about 6 months. I mean, we started kind of a loose start, so it might even go a little bit longer. It might go, yeah, it kind of depends, right? But we're recording all our conversations, and for me, it's about collaboration. Like if we can really come out of this with some deep relationships, and like friendships as well, and those lead to collaboration, like that's what I'm hoping for. That's my hope in this, right? Is really to build some bonds and create something together.
Yeah, exactly. All right, nice. I love how we're flowing into this. And yeah, I love how we're prototyping this protocol. And yeah, like for me, coherence in a way is doing what we're already doing anyway. Like we are all working on collaborative tools and building the infrastructure so that people can collaborate on a larger scale and bring to life meaningful creations that align with a thriving planet and a thriving civilization. And and it's a way to kind of illustrate and showcase what is happening usually behind the scenes, but put it to the front and kind of embody this philosophy of built in public, and to inspire people with what's emerging, you know, and kind of what's emerging, that is not usually made visible, but that is so crucial. Like this showing this culture of collaboration and giving people an opportunity to jump in while we are creating, because it's all about the co-creation and the collaboration. There's nothing to hide, right? Like that's I feel the shift that's happening. You know, we're not competing, so we don't have to hide. It's like, no, let's work together because we have the same bigger driving purpose. So yeah, I'm super excited to explore. And Joshua, I know you from kind of the periphery. I know your work. We've been in one or two calls, I think. Well, with Coherence a
Uh-huh.
bit more often. And yeah, just very curious to learn more about the details of what we're doing and where's these touch points.
Yeah, I really liked how you kind of brought up the transparency of this, right? Like it's a bit raw to kind of show um, the the back and forth nature of collaboration in this kind of Coherence 2025 container that we've created. And the container still, like has structure, but it doesn't have enough structure to where the collaboration can be stifled in a lot of ways. Because what I've noticed with other collaborations, and this is what I like about Coherence 2025 over some of the other things that are out there that are gathering, folks together for collaboration. Usually, it's one entity that's coming out and saying, "Oh, let's come together and let's talk and let's collaborate, but let's do it under this one organization's rules and structure and whatnot, right?" And this was very, created by several people, though Victor has been leading this. Victor Vorsky of the Gathering has been kind of leading a lot of different pieces of it. We're co-stewarding, and that was really something that I really liked about this, because yeah, I've actually been invited to several different things. I'm excited about the other collaborative pieces that other people are coming in. I'm inviting people as well, and I think that's needed. But in a bigger way, like I think we're missing out on like what true collaboration is and the openness of that before we get into more of the like really strong structuring. We really have to be kind of open and transparent of that collaboration, because usually that one person that brings this all together is having those individual conversations with each of the people that they're collaborating with, and then we bring them together, which is a completely different dynamic in so many ways. And I've noticed that, right?
Yes.
It's a different dynamic, and it's refreshing and it's new, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because I've never been in this space like what we're doing right now. This kind of open,
Yes.
transparent container that we're working on.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you're sharing there. And what it brings up for me is this thing of, okay, we all want to collaborate, all of us feel like that's the way forward. But at the same time, in many regards, we have no clue how to do this, right? We're figuring it out as we go. It's one big experiment of how do we actually collaborate in a way that's not centralized and where everybody can bring their piece in an equal way. And yeah, I think it's new and refreshing, and all of us are working on this theme of collaboration, but at the same time, yeah, we still have a lot to learn and a lot to go, and it all starts with the relationships and getting to know each other, and especially because many of the projects that participate in Coherence, they're building tools for collaboration. I think what precedes is the embodiment of collaboration, right? And
Yeah.
I feel this is something I've been realizing also, for example, with Hive, the project that we're doing. The key to make this project succeed is collaboration. Like without collaboration, we cannot build the vision. So it's like a catch-22. And yeah, I love what we're doing here with Coherence. It's a new format, a new way of working together, and we're figuring it out together. And I love that. Yeah, I like that a sense of humbleness, but also boldness of let's just go and try and play, and yeah, we will fail and we will learn, and that's the way that we grow together. And yeah, I hope we can take a lot of people along on the ride so that we
Yeah.
can learn together with a larger network. And people were like, oh, that's interesting. How can I participate in this? And it can be in Coherence itself, it can be in one of the projects. Because like I say, yeah, we're all figuring it out together. And yeah, I find it really refreshing and interesting, and super happy to be on this journey.
Yeah, well, and maybe we can start going into, well, just for those that are listening to this kind of through the Coherence 2025 YouTube or on the website, as we start to get stuff on the website. This is like probably not one of the early conversations. I think we have 3 recorded right now, and there's the YouTube channel out there. It's Coherent. The website is coherence.tv, and the YouTube channel is Coherence 2025. Thinking, if we're getting it wrong, we'll put it in the recording stuff so you can get over there. But all of the people in Coherence 25, at least the co-stewards, are doing collaborative technology in some way for the regenerative outcomes that we would like to see. Regenerative economy, circular economy. There's so many names I think we can place on the work that's being done, and how it relates to different movements, the regenerative movement. There's a lot of work to be doing. So if you're listening to this, I think one of the big things is like get involved, right, with these conversations, whether you're just listening or you're actually coming in, you want to present a project. That's like so key for this, right? Us to be able to talk to you to understand your product, your service, the project that you're working on that's collaborative in nature and has a technology piece. Maybe it's Web3, maybe it's maybe you're starting a DAO. There's so many different things that you can bring to this this Coherence 2025. For us, like we're going to start getting into our work right now, right? So Bart, I would love to hear the work that you're doing, the breadth of collaborations you're already involved in, right? And let's dive into that. And then I want to share what we're doing. I was going to have a friend and who's also a co-steward in Coherence 2025, but is also in a lot of my collaborative projects already, join us as well. But it's probably too early for him to join, so I'll kind of speak for the work that he's doing as well when I share. But then let's figure out and find the ways that we can be collaborative in this space, right? And it doesn't have to. I mean, I don't think we'll get. It's not like we're going to shake hands right now and sign on dotted lines of like, it's not like that, right? At least I'm hoping it's not.
Let's go. Let's dive
but I
into
think it's
that
more
straight
of like,
away.
yeah, it's the relationship that we're building here, and that is the beginning of the collaboration, right? So yeah, tell me more about. I know you have a consultancy is like probably your own thing, and then tell me all about all the collaborative work that you're doing, the organizations that you're involved with. Love to hear, because we've been on the peripheral of each other for a little while. We've had group conversations that we've been in, but this is our first time one-on-one together.
Yeah, super nice. Glad to share this space. And yeah, just briefly, like the work that I do, I'm actually recently professionalizing that. In the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot pro bono and in flow and based on intuition, and that's still like intuition is still what's guiding me, but I'm currently professionalizing my services, which are focused on catalyzing visions and to weave ecosystems. And that's kind of the essence of what I do. I love bringing visions to life, and I love connecting people and building collaborative ecosystems. And yeah, so I represent a bunch of organizations ranging from, I don't know, education platforms to, well, collaborative technology creators to new economic platforms that help communities share their needs and offers. So that's kind of like in the background. And then I already mentioned Hive is one of the key projects I'm currently involved in. And that's one of these projects that has just kind of emerged from conversations. And it's something I don't predict, I don't come up with that stuff. It's just happening, and that's, I think, the fascinating element. Like there is somewhat of a larger vision emerging for, a new heart-based operating system for humanity, let's say. And then there's all these
Mhm.
different parts to it, and yeah, everyone has a different role to play. And I love connecting with people and see what's your puzzle piece. Based on that, I made connections. And so recently I was reconnecting with a dear friend, Oliver, who also has this passion for creating ecosystems of collaboration. And we were having this conversation, and then he shared his prototype, and I was like, okay, this is like a massive, massive vision. Like, if you could choose one feature of the platform, what would it be? And he thought for a second, and he was like, that would be an intelligence system. And I'm looking at him, dude. That's not one feature. That's a whole platform. and and so I brought like a little bit of resistance there, but then we started brainstorming, and in 20 or 30 minutes we had this vision for how it would operate. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, and we dropped it. And then I looked in my calendar, and later that week I saw that I had a meeting with Yannick from GaiaNet,
Mhm.
and I read the description. It was about the second brain for the regenerative movement, and I'm reading the description like, it sounds very much like what I was discussing with Oliver. and so I invited Oliver into that conversation, and that kind of ignited this vision, which we have been further refining. And yeah, like I'm sharing this also to kind of show how these collaborations emerge, because it's so clearly beyond us, like it's something that's happening and it's emerging, and we have a role to play. But it's not coming from the mind. It's
Mhm.
rather coming from the heart. We are following our intuition. Um, and so yeah, this is one of the, yeah, I would say, the bigger visions and projects I'm involved in. Um, I can share more details, but I don't know. Just want to pause there for a second, see how this lands with you, and yeah, how it resonates and how you feel like
Yeah,
continuing.
that's cool. Is this Oliver or Ollie from the Coherence 2025 from Open Co-op, or is this another Oliver?
No, this is Oliver Clarity. That's his current last name.
Okay.
From the Open Systems Foundation. I
Okay.
don't know if you can find a lot online already. Um, there's something on my Substack. I can share a link.
Okay.
I'll share that in the description. Yeah.
And so they're now, so Oliver is now working with the Hive, and I know a little bit of what's going on with Hive, um, which is a part of uh, the Futura and GaiaNet's kind of collaboration with what's the platform? Symbiosis, right?
Symbiosis. Yeah.
Symbiosis, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So they're all collaborating on with essentially. I'm curious. I think I have an understanding of what it is, but if you can clarify for me and for those listening, like the Hive concept is like, let's get everybody's uh, um, everybody's thoughts into a AI framework that we can utilize and share and build off of one another's work, so that we all have like an open understanding of what's going on. Essentially, is essentially. I mean, some of that is also coming from what I understand. The GaiaNet at the Gathering did a little bit of a workshop. It's also an idea that I'm kind of probably putting some of my own ideas into what I want it to be, you know. But if you can clarify
Hmm.
for me what the project is with Hive Mind right now, and how it and its current state.
Yeah. No, yeah. Nice. These things also happen.
Yes, exactly.
Um, Yeah, so the idea, the vision is to create a knowledge sharing platform for organizations, initially focusing on regenerative organizations that have their own organizational hub where they can share all their knowledge, the content that they develop, and have a place where they have AI support to make that knowledge more easily accessible within their organization. So in that way, we want to build it in a such that it has direct value for the people using the tool.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, we want to create like layered access to that information by other organizations. So we can create ecosystems of organizations that share their knowledge with each other. And then the AI can build this collective intelligence from all that information. And the goal, of course, is to accelerate planetary regeneration and healing. And the funny thing is, like, everybody wants to collaborate, they want to share, but there's not always this incentive alignment to make that happen. So with this platform, we want to make it a natural thing for people to do. There is value in sharing it so that you can use it with your organization, but we also would like to include reward structures so that anyone who contributes knowledge to this platform, to this ecosystem, is being rewarded. And so in a way, you get somewhat of a dynamic Wikipedia, you could say. Where you have like these specific content pieces, but then AI is able to synthesize it into more more summarized and easy to digest information depending on what you're looking for. And I think an interesting aspect that we want to add is also finding this balance between using technology but also human ingenuity. So humans, they provide the information, but also we want to invite humans for the information curation within ecosystems. So that it's not just technology, but it's also humans that actually curate information. And I think this is something that is missing in a way in current AI systems. Usually they use large data sets, and then it's like just harvesting all that information and then blah, blah, blah. Whereas here we want to have more of a human curated data information management system. And you get this beautiful symbiosis between human and technology. So yeah, that's the vision. I don't know, you want to ask more there, or you want to know more about the current status, or your other question?
Yeah. Well, but maybe before current status of the hive mind, I'm curious. Well, I kind of want to share because it's aligned with a lot of the work that RegenBEE has been doing. And so RegenBEE is one of the organizations that I've been operating as and incubating. It's going through its governance structuring right now. It's help. We're about to launch a incubation acceleration program. But a lot of what the early work that we started on was we felt like there was a need for a collaborative platform that would allow for the incubation acceleration and make it extremely easy for collaboration to happen in kind of two main ways. One is kind of the gathering and finding of the right stakeholders and understanding of the stakeholders that are involved in ecosystems upon ecosystems upon ecosystems, right? Like, so what, for example, is the stakeholder, who are the stakeholders, and how do we gather the stakeholders for, let's say, I've been using this as an example, but a smaller ecosystem of like marine permaculture, and even that is a big ecosystem, right? How there's people that are working, and it's a latent potential ecosystem, meaning there's not quite a market for all the different things that this ecosystem can provide, and it's not really active, fully active in our current economy. But that's what essentially regenerative movement is. It's a bunch of latent potential systems and ecosystems that are budding, and we need to nurture those. And so that's what we thought this was needed, was an ecosystem, an association is what we're kind of building out, to be able to bring and incubate these, and basically nurture these ecosystems into the transition. So we're seeing this current economy die out, and I'm kind of an anarchist. I think there's a lot of people that kind of resonate with that. At least I'm an anarchist right now because I want to see the current system die away, and I want to see a new system replace it that's in right alignment with nature and whatnot. And so what I'm seeing is that there is this ecosystem out there that we're kind of nurturing, that is in right alignment with nature, but the ecosystem is not as healthy, or it's just so young that it can't be a strong, lasting ecosystem, especially as it's being kind of stifled by this huge weed called our current extractive economy, right? And so the two challenges that we kind of saw as we're building RegenBEE is, first, like, how do we gather and understand who the stakeholders are and start talking at least. And then the second part of that is, once we start talking and there's all of these hairy, messy human problems and difficulties, like, how do we make it easy for governance, for very decentralized, bottom-up approach to organizing and collaborating? Because the old model is top-down. That's why we get Google. That's why we get Amazon. That's why we get all of these people that are from the top down extracting and then building these huge behemoth businesses that have no ability but to consume and to extract and exploit, right? Even if they're trying to do good, it's so hard for them to even do that because of that top-down approach that doesn't include all stakeholders, that doesn't value all capital streams. And so that's the challenge that we saw with RegenBEE. And what I'm noticing with HiveMind is, with some of the things that we came together on. This is a collaborative, open, it's a closed commons that we're building, right? So it's not an open commons, but it's a closed commons that we're building it under an association, meaning multiple organizations. No one owns it, the RegenBEE, but it's co-stewarded by several organizations, and it has a governance structure that helps us to protect the commons and the resources and the stakeholders within the commons. And so for us, the technology piece was like something we came in of, like, oh, we need the technology, and then we realized, we kind of backtracked of, like, oh, you were just saying, like, that human dynamic, like human led, and then AI supported. But we realized really quickly.
Sorry,
that
you dropped for 10 seconds. Can you rewind 10 seconds? I lost you for 10 seconds. Yeah.
So rewind for 10 seconds. So what we realized is we didn't want to go so much more down, though we still are kind of building out technology. We have a technology partner. There's 3 organizations that are effectively working in this. Seeds of Dow, my organization. It's like a family business that's helping entrepreneurs focused on regenerative outcomes. And then there's Evolute 6 that's really focused in on governance structure, incubation, acceleration of whole ecosystems. And then we have Karako, who's a technology partner, who's helping us to build out the technology pieces that we need just in time as we figure out a nurturing process for these ecosystems. And so I think I love how you guys are still sticking on the tech side, because we're not even really so focused on that anymore, though it's like there. So we want to see ways that we can, like, plug into the HiveMind, and I've been excited in watching kind of from the sides of, like, what you guys are doing there, but not really understanding fully of what's going on, because right now our focus is on launching a experimental incubator accelerator that doesn't accelerate or incubate individual businesses, but in entire ecosystems, right? And so it's a different weird ecosystem incubation process that is going to be supported by tech, but in a lot of ways we can't quite do that yet because we don't have the hive mind yet. But we need the big piece, like we need the actual people leading what they need first, and curating the information. So one thing that I was curious about is like we're doing part of our programming is we're doing OKR systems. I know GaiaNet has been doing OKRs, and I'm not sure because we had been talking about it. I'm not sure if they started doing it while we were planning for it, and when we had some conversations, they were like OKRs, okay, cool. But we're doing a derivative of OKRs, which is called Mokers, and we're making those Mokers openly visible to everybody and tracking progress through these projects. The projects are multi-organizational. It has to be 3 or more ecosystem builders collaborating with one another, and so it's a specific stakeholder. It's not just a business or 3 businesses coming in. It's actual ecosystem builders, and we're kind of labeling those that are already gathering and organizing a certain realm or bioregion that they come together with 2 to 3 other people that are doing that same work, and they have to collaborate with one another within that ecosystem and within the nurturing process that we're creating. But they share their mission objective key results with everybody and across other ecosystems that are being nurtured, and we figure out how we can support one another in that. And so that information of open feedback loops, kind of like we're creating the technology that we are working on is more of like a GitHub model of like, how do we really make this so transparent and open feedback loops all over the place to see what the ecosystem is doing in real time, and then allow for reciprocity tracking to make sure that these people are actually working with one another, and then figure out some metrics to see what's a healthy ecosystem look like, because healthy ecosystems are very collaborative. Like if you look at nature, right? And they're very interdependent, and so we're trying to look for the same natural patterns that you would see in nature's ecosystems expressed in our incubation container. So I'm going to check there, but I'm seeing just so much overlap and so much ability to integrate that it's really cool. So check.
Yeah, wow, man, that was a lot. I
Sorry.
love,
Yeah.
no worries. No, I love everything that you shared. And I see so many touch points here. And I love the angle that you're having of, yeah, like aiming to bring ecosystems together and figuring out how to catalyze that, like what kind of structure is needed in terms of governance and how can you show the health of it with metrics. So yeah, and then with the technology, I feel it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing, right? Like we kind of want the technology or need the technology, but first we need to learn to actually collaborate to build the technology in the way that we want. And like in general, I do feel like technology is not going to solve our problems. That's a bit of my perspective, and yeah, whatever we create, we first need to build it on a human level, because we are the prime technology, and the technology that we build outside is a reflection of the technology and the operating system we have inside. So yeah, I feel it's developing hand in hand. And one of my dear co-creator friends, Brett Warshawski, he always says whole people create whole systems. So in order to create whole systems, we first need to become whole human beings. And yeah, so I really admire your human approach in this, and I think that's very, very necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've at least explored both sides of the work that's being done. I would like to see, and if you have questions or let's just like be free flow here, and we have about 15 minutes to kind of keep our conversation in that container. But for the last 15 minutes, like let's see, and if we can explore curiosities of like how we can collaborate with the Hive mind, with the incubation acceleration process that we're working on, and anything else that like comes up. Like maybe there was things that came up on other projects or whatever, but like that's I think what we could do for the remainder of our conversation at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I want to share a few touch points. First of all, I'm really intrigued with this incubation ecosystem that you're building. I've actually recently drawn a vision for such an ecosystem, or like just a very brief outline. So it's something I also want to create. So since you're already building it, I would love to, yeah, further explore that with you of, yeah, where you are, how that's developing, and how I can weave in my perspective and skills, because this is my passion as well, and especially the social aspect of building ecosystems. And I think that's super, yeah, it's just yeah, let's do it together. I don't want to do this by myself. Um, so that's something I would love to explore with you. And then I also love like this thing of health metrics of ecosystems, which I think is crucial to give visibility and show people what makes an ecosystem actually, and giving it something tangible that helps people to connect with it. One name that was coming up for me is Christine Francis. She's connected to Holistic Systems Cooperative, and they're more focused on like community building and new economic models. So I don't know what's the overlap, but she specifically mentioned to me yesterday that she's very interested in creating health metrics for communities. And I think there will probably be strong parallels. So I think it's very valuable for you to connect with her as well. I was already psyched up hearing that from her. I was like, I want to work with you. So yeah, I feel that could be a nice one to weave in here as well.
Yeah, I've had a couple conversations with Christine, but not a lot yet. So we're still kind of early in our conversations. But I have talked with maybe a little bit more, but still kind of Christine and holistic co-op Rob. Yeah. So I've talked with Rob a little bit more than Christine. And yeah, I love what they're doing. We're a little bit more RegenBEE stands for Regenerative Business Economics Ecosystem, or Regenerative Bioregional Economics Ecosystem. It's either is correct in the terminology that we're kind of building out. So we're more focused on the that ecosystem in itself rather than like they're more on the community side. So there's definitely like this overlappability for us to work together. We just got to figure out how that works, because we are doing very similar, and the way we're describing it is very similar, but they're more just on like grassroots community, growth, and we're more business and economic centric.
Yeah, and I would say the difference is that within a community, it's rather individuals that make up that community, and within this ecosystem, business ecosystem, it's businesses that are like the individual components, right? So there is probably parallels in its functioning, but it will have different flavors and characteristics and requirements for how to facilitate that.
Yeah, and so we also got to figure out how the way we because there is competition and there is cooperation, and in nature, even if you're looking at the larger ecosystem, like the larger ecosystem is always cooperative, right? Even when you see a predator eating prey, those types of things. And this is something that Graham Boyd, one of our partners, is always stressing in this, is like when you look at the larger ecosystem, it's always cooperative. But when you look at like when you're closer and you're in you're in the wild and you're working with people, there is competition and there is the need that you might get eaten up in those types of things. But the reality is like there's a reason why there's that as well, and because it builds further cooperation for the larger ecosystem. And so we got to understand how to operate with one another in a way that is still allowing for healthy competition in that space, right? And I think it's like understanding like the verticals and lanes and different areas that, and there's going to be edge factors that they kind of bump into, and that there's really strong productivity in edges, right? Where we can, and those edges can actually be those really strong collaborative points of, you know, how Christine and Rob are doing their work together, how RegenBEE is kind of working. And we haven't scheduled it quite yet because we're working with like 4 people for our conversation. I want to bring in Stefan, myself, and then Rob and Christine are trying to figure out a way to schedule a time that we can have the 4 of us on a conversation. So we haven't had our coherence conversation yet, but it's coming up. And so this is kind of helping us to, you know, kind of frame for that as well. But it is something, so yeah, I want to figure out with them the ways in which we can find the health metrics and structures. And yeah, invite you into this process as well. Maybe you're working with both of us. Maybe you can even actually be a bridge in that sense. That would be kind of fun.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I'd love to, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because I love the work from holistic systems. I know Rob for a while already. We've been in touch quite closely in the last year, and you've been on my list for a while, like wanting to connect deeper. And yeah, just hearing all this is like, oh yeah, of course. So yeah, let's see how we can bring it together.
Yeah, this is cool. Like you know, we're 7 minutes till kind of the end of our conversation, but I'm kind of just thinking of like how we kind of started this conversation off, right? And we didn't really know where it was going, but like just kind of seeing just the potential here is really exciting, right?
Yeah.
So to go, did you have another point that you wanted to?
Yeah, well, I want to drop another seed. Something that I'm very drawn to also to include in this is the question of how do we resource ecosystems? So there's something about, you know, creating the right infrastructure and interconnection so that an ecosystem, you know, can come alive from its own with the resources that are already there. But I'm also very curious, like how to bring in external resources. Just like in an ecosystem, there's rain, right? And that helps to bring an ecosystem to life. So how can we make it rain in these ecosystems? That's one of the questions I'm carrying with me. Yeah.
I would say we are working on that, and I love that framing. I'm gonna use that framing with the rain. How do we make it rain? What we've in a lot of ways have noticed is that we're not building ecosystems. We're actually nurturing ecosystems that are already there. And like, I don't think humans, in a lot of ways, we think that we're building the things that we're building, but in reality, it was already imagined through, you know, the creations that are already existing in our world, and we know how to better organize. You know, and so that's kind of the framing that we're looking at it. So we're trying to see the patterns.
Yeah, rather become stewards of what's already there, right?
Yeah, and we're seeing the patterns that we're using for the incubation system is like we're taking a lot from permaculture and the design principles of permaculture in a lot of ways, because it was already structured using the patterns of nature. And we're using the permaculture flower for that first kind of way of allowing us to see different ways that humans are already operating naturally with their environment, right? And so each, do you know the permaculture flower and the petals of the flower? Are you familiar with that?
I've seen it. I have seen
Okay.
it, but I'm not super familiar. Yeah.
So just imagine like a flower with there's 7 petals.
Observe
right?
and interact.
No, that's a
one,
principle. That's a principle.
Oh,
actually.
sorry.
So there's 12
Never mind, you
principles.
talk.
Yeah, different part.
Okay.
But yeah, actually,
Uh-huh.
let's see. This is David Holmgren's book, and this is the flower, actually, right? And each petal on the flower represents a realm that humans are actively engaged in to change their environment. And right now, a lot of the realms are very extractive and exploitative, right? But the way that we're looking at this, and from the kind of pieces of this, that each petal is can be created and interacted with in a regenerative outcomes in mind, right? And the kind of center of this, when you're looking at this diagram, there's like tools and technology is one, land development, the built environments, those types, governance structuring for land are kind of on each petal. So we're noticing that that's a framework that's already been observed as a pattern in our design pieces, but at the center of it is actually principles and ethics that we utilize, and that's kind of how our incubation process is kind of working. Is from we're recognizing those patterns, and then what is nature's patterns, like bioregions essentially, right? And watersheds and all of those pieces. So we're trying to integrate both like how humans are already in changing their environment naturally. That's an ecosystem in itself. Those are patterns that are already existing in the ecosystem. And then we're looking at the other patterns are watersheds, bioregions, biospheres, that are operating, and we got to interface with those. The human dynamic, our human nature has to integrate more fully or reintegrate, because it used to be integrated, but we've kind of outgrown our. And I think it was actually a part of our nature to do that. It's a part of what we were supposed to do in our ecosystem, is to go beyond certain frameworks and kind of disrupt and create something that almost even destroys, but to realize from that a deeper understanding. These are some more belief structures that are kind of coming from this. But when you say that, that's like, that's the rain, that's the other pieces that are already naturally there. Now, how we organize, gather and organize around those, right? And that's what the incubation, that's what we're trying to do with the incubation process. Yeah, I'll check there.
Yes. Well, I was just so curious to learn more, and we're kind of reaching the end, I think, of this conversation. So I think this is maybe also typical of how collaboration emerges. Like you connect and then you realize there's so many touch points and there's a strong resonance, and probably this can take a long collaboration to actually unfold, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with building the relationship, and from there seeing, yeah, how we can start connect meaningfully. I'm curious, like after this 1 hour, do you see something concrete that we can do as next steps?
Well, I see a few. I see so many. I'm trying to think of like the best and most easiest. Usually, like when in collaborations that I've noticed that have been more successful over time, it's like, what's the first thing that you can do that's small enough that gets you working together? And we're already kind of doing that because we're part of Coherence, right? We're doing this kind of, that's like one of the small things. So I think one of the things is like, let's continue to invite people into this into these conversations. And if there's anything that like you had already mentioned, Christine and Rob, but like I think like round 2 of these conversations is like we have one-on-one, but like let's not have a conversation, because now we just realized that you want to work with Christine, and you want to work with Rob, and you want to work with me. Let's have that conversation now. Like that would be really cool to
Yes.
just like
Yeah.
now we have that conversation. We go, hey, round two, let's go for it. Like that seems like a good next step. Is like I want to have another conversation with Christine and Rob. I've already kind of scheduled that one, but maybe we have another conversation with like the five of us, or like bring in the people that we think should be kind of talking about this on, and have a
Yes.
bigger conversation. And I think we can kind of do a similar format in the sense, but we don't have to go into too much back and forth of what we're doing or what we've done, but rather like what do we need to do now, and just be in that kind of creative like exploratory phase, and like not like close it off. Like I think that's the hardest part with collaboration, is like we already close it off because of competition, and we got to guard ourselves, right? But like to just say, let's, if we lived in a perfect world where we could collaborate just extremely easy, like that's the conversation I want to have. Like let's just be curious about all the possibilities first before we start guarding ourselves and putting up all this armor and barriers before understanding on, and that I think that ruins the collaboration, or makes the collaboration weak in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Because when we're coming into, I've noticed that about myself. Like I'll come in and be like, well, I don't want to share this piece of my project, because if I share that piece, they might utilize that piece in their own project because it's so interrelated. But in reality, yes, use it all. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out ways that we can work together. And yeah, so that to me is, as long as we feel safe in our conversations with each other, I think that's where we need to like really understand. Like there's bad players, there's bad actors, there's also immature actors that don't know that they're doing harm in a lot of ways, right? Um, that's a real thing, and we gotta guard ourselves from that. But in a lot of ways, I think we're over guarding in our spaces. So that would be my
Mm.
next step. But some of the other things, like you and I, let's also have some more conversation individually, in and out
Yes.
of coherence, right?
Yes.
What about you?
Yes,
What are
absolutely.
your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think continuing the conversation one on one is definitely worthwhile. I love this idea of having a conversation with Rob and Christine, and further explore like multiple things, but especially also these health metrics. I think that's a very interesting topic to explore
Mm,
together.
yeah. Okay.
Um, and then I love also what you were sharing about this permaculture, these petals and the principles, and I don't know to what extent this exists, but I would be very curious also to develop this for collaborative culture. Like
Mhm.
what is collaborative culture? What is needed to make it come alive? Because I feel that culture is at the foundation of this new paradigm that is emerging. And it's like the healthy soil. I always compare it to soil in an ecosystem. We need healthy soil if we want to have a thriving ecosystem. In the same way, we need a healthy culture, and that's I think what we're exploring here: this collaborative culture to make a healthy and thriving ecosystem come alive. So if we, I feel that you already had like some very important pieces of that, and if that's something we can develop, I think that would be really cool. And maybe this can even be some kind of an outcome of this coherence project. I don't know, make it a collaborative
Mhm.
project. Who knows? I'm just, planting seeds. That's what I'm doing. I'm planting seeds. That's my role in the ecosystem.
I love it. I love it. It's so neat. And this is the right time for us to do the seed planting and kind of nurturing those little seedlings that we're holding right
Hmm.
now, right? Like this,
Hmm.
figure out the season. That's the season that we're in, for kind of the pattern that we're recognizing is we're in a nurturing process. We're in this planting seeds and germinating them, and really being, you have to be observant and open for these little sprouts that are coming up, and tending to them. And that, I feel like that's the season that we're in with this work, and Coherence is a big, um, big like post that's showing us that this is where we're at in this season, right? So yeah, I would love to explore more that way. There's also, as far as ways that we can work together, I really like to explore like governance and a closed commons piece to it. Like how do we come together in a way that's going to value all stakeholders, value all capital
Yes.
streams?
Yeah, I would love to connect you with Oliver for this. This is something he's very keen on, and he's actually developing a framework for what he calls an open earth ecosystem. And he's been already defining different, I don't know, values and principles, and especially the commons is an area that he's very interested in developing, and this governance structure. We need to do this basically for the Hive project. So yeah, I think there's also some clear collaboration potential. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, let's keep these threads that we've opened going, or these seeds being nurtured. Yeah, I'm excited for kind of a closing on this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that are listening, again, this is one of many conversations that we're having, and it's not just Bart, myself, Christine, and some of the other people that we've mentioned in this conversation, but there's others even outside of that. Come join us wherever you're finding this piece of content. Come join us in this anti-conference of sorts. And there's the website, coherence.tv, and there's the Coherence 2025 YouTube channel. And start joining us in these conversations. If you want to join as a project, there is information on both the website and on the YouTube channel postings to join us as a project, or even co-steward these conversations, be someone that's actually reaching out to others that you already want to talk to anyway. So let's bring them into this conversation and have deeper, meaningful, open collaboration with one another. That's what this is all about, Coherence 2025. And we are looking forward to having conversations with you. So I'm going to end it on this. Is there anything else that you want to add, Bart?
No, man, beautifully spoken. Thank you for wrapping it up. And yeah, excited to hear some responses, comments. If anyone feels inspired, let's have a conversation. Not just here on YouTube, but also behind the scenes, because behind the scenes there's also a lot of magic happening.
Beautiful. Thanks again, Bart.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later. Ciao.
Yeah. Yes. Ciao.
So we can end that conversation there. As far as the recording, there's a clear stop for it. But I think we even opened it up with just us kind of stumbling into the conversation. I think that was kind of fun to show, or will be fun to show to others as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Feedback, thoughts on how it went?
Yeah, I loved it. It was really nice. I kind of like this format. It's just us being us, doing our thing, and we can naturally follow the curiosity. Like I feel like I got a good image of your work, and it's just like, wow, there's so many things that I want to go deeper. But that's kind of how it goes in these kind of conversations anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm feeling really good about the conversation. Yeah, thank you for the questions. Thank you for being open. I've done podcasting for a really long time, and so I kind of get that I try to keep it really flowy and conversational, but it can be really hard depending on who's on the other side with you, right? And you made it really extremely easy. I just want you to know that, just to have a conversation, and to share and be involved in it. because it can turn into, I think that's why a lot of people just stick to the questions, is they're afraid of the conversational stuff drying up, and then they have to go back to them just at the default of just asking questions. And and if you set that platform already, you're giving it to a level of chaos that you don't know what's going to happen. So I think people are a little afraid of that, but I think it works better when we do have like this kind of format and we can keep it more open and conversational. So I thank you for playing with me on this.
Yeah, this is perfect. Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the beginning, I hope people are kind of hooked enough in the beginning that they're like, oh, what's going on here? I want to be part of this, because it doesn't have a clear framing or anything. So yeah, but we'll see what happens. And I think the description, it helps. And I think the content is very interesting. Like both of all the things that we're working on, is really on the edge of innovation, and then like us coming together to explore how that can connect, and seeing so many things actually already. It's quite remarkable. It's a good
Yeah,
showcase.
if I were to fully produce this, and we talked about this, I talked about this to Victor. If I were to fully produce this, I would go in and I would have AI kind of come up with our topics and summaries and those types of things, which he's going to have that information anyways. But I would do an intro on this as well, and I would maybe take a clip of it, but we don't necessarily have the time or effort to do that for everything. So it kind of just is throwing it in the mix, and then maybe we can come back later and do some piecing of things, because we have a lot of content to work off of afterwards. But that's how I would fully produce these types of conversations. I would put an intro to the beginning, context, and ability for people to kind of get that 30-second snippet, right?
Yeah, well, it would be cool to do that anyway, I guess, with at least certain conversations, and then we can share that on our socials. That would be great if we would have that, but I don't know. Maybe we need some budget for that as well. Man, we need to get the fundraising going for this also. That would be great, that we can hire some content producers that can work deeper on this. But maybe Wasai can do it if we pay him more. I think Victor is now paying him.
Paying who?
Wasai, he's helping with the content processing for YouTube.
Okay, cool. So we do have someone.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it looks like that's probably who's adding like the front load and going through the transcript, adding titles and those types of things, right? And the uploads. Okay. Yeah. So if we can, add to some of that piece of the intro, that would be good. And if it's usually someone else's voice, that's also a good thing too. That's consistent with all of them, that would be nice. There's so much.
Well, let's see.
So much we can do, but at the same time, we can spread ourselves too thin too quick.
No, I'm gonna let that go. That's not up to me. We can have that conversation, and maybe someone wants to pick it up. I do feel it would be good to have a deeper conversation about the fundraising, like how to get revenue flowing for this. But maybe it's as simple as having a donation link at every YouTube video and on the website, something like that.
Yeah, if we just have like some slush fund that we can use, that would be great. Yeah, let's bring that up on our meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow morning.
Maybe actually.
My tomorrow morning, you guys' afternoon.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now? I even asked you.
Portugal.
Okay, you're in Portugal. Cool.
Yeah. You?
Did we see each other at the gathering? Were you at the gathering?
I don't know. You were there.
Yeah.
Oh, bro. We should have met.
Yeah. I was Hendrik, Stefan, and I kind of built a camp around. I even forget the name of the camp, but it was a small camp and a small group of people
With
collaborating
Evolute 6.
with Evolute 6. Yeah,
That
yeah,
camp? Yeah, okay. I
yeah,
have seen
yeah.
Graham. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Sophia, she was there, I guess.
So
Right?
Sophia was in our camp. Deepa
Yeah.
was in our camp. Yeah, yeah. A few others. Yeah, so we just had a small camp, and our whole objective was to be collaborative in it, but it didn't necessarily turn out the way that I wanted. It was so distracting, actually. The
Oh.
festival side of, I think, gathering, it was great that we were having fun and all that, but to me, I would rather have like
Yeah.
a retreat that was highly focused and we got stuff done.
Yeah. The gathering is not a place for that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more meeting people and building connections and relationships.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
collaboration, it comes after more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I was going into it thinking that I could do like some really deep collaborative work and whatnot while
Yeah.
we were having all the festival stuff going on, and it was
Yeah.
distracting everybody, and no one was really getting into stuff. They started getting into party mode, and yeah, it was kind of hard.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna have some lunch. I didn't have lunch yet, and it's already past 3.
I'm gonna have some breakfast. Yeah, I haven't had breakfast yet. So
Where are you again? What did you say? Did you
I'm
say
in
that?
Colombia, in Bogota.
Ah, Colombia.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening here. I'll have to share sometime.
Nice worldwide spread.
Yeah. All right, man. Talk to you later. Ciao.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Speak
Thank
soon.
you.